Ask I. How could you prove that the mind is a byproduct of the brain or that the mind and body are separate entities? Proving whether the mind is a byproduct of the brain or whether the mind and body are separate entities is a difficult task, and there is no definitive way to prove either hypothesis. However, researchers have developed various approaches to study the relationship between the mind and the brain, and these approaches can provide evidence that supports or challenges different hypotheses. If the mind is a byproduct of the brain, as suggested by the theory of emergentism, we would expect to see a strong correlation between brain activity and mental processes. Researchers can use brain imaging techniques such as fMRI and EEG to study the patterns of neural activity that correspond to different mental states and processes, such as emotions, thoughts, and perceptions. If specific mental processes are always associated with specific patterns of neural activity in the brain, this would support the idea that the mind arises from the activity of the brain. On the other hand, if the mind and body are separate entities, as suggested by the theory of dualism, we would expect to see evidence of mental processes that are not directly linked to brain activity. For example, some proponents of dualism argue that consciousness is a non-physical entity that interacts with the brain, but is not reducible to brain activity alone. If such non-physical mental processes could be demonstrated, this would provide evidence for the idea that the mind and body are separate entities. Overall, the relationship between the mind and the brain is a complex and ongoing area of research, and there is no single definitive way to prove or disprove any particular theory. Researchers must use a combination of different approaches and methods to study this relationship and to gain a better understanding of the nature of the mind.